Alright, listeners, watchers, viewers, subscribers, unsubscribers, new subscribers, old subscribers, not subscribed yet, subscribe, watch all our content. In this time of uncertainty and a bit of a different thing going on every day, it's quite nice to sit down with a book and have a little read. So I invite you to get yourself a nice warm blanket, pour yourself a whiskey, and we're going to settle in for Storytime with Dave.
Retrogaming Roundup!
Today we're going to be reading from Choose Your Own Adventure, Race Forever. And this is a book in the should probably know the Choose Your Own Adventure series if you're watching this channel or listen to the podcast. If you don't know, they are kind of game books where you get given options and you get to choose what you're doing, and as you read along you sort of change the outcome of the story. This particular one focuses, as you'd imagine, on a race, and it was first published in 1983, as was I. So without further ado, if we're all sitting comfortably, we shall begin. So this starts off with a beware and warning, which sounds scary, but really it's just, this is this kind of book, this is how this works. But it says, don't go at the end and cheat. One thing it does say is be careful, remember racing is dangerous, think before you act, and don't forget that winning is not necessarily finishing the race, nor is finishing necessarily winning. Something that I was told early in my career is to finish first you have to finish. And after the 100th time you hear that from someone, you want to punch them. So we shall get started. You have been almost too nervous to look out the plane window at the African countryside below. The smiling flight attendant, leaning over to check your seatbelt, jolts you back to reality. We're approaching the airport in Nairobi now. You look out the window. Now you can see the large modern city below. The gently rolling terrain is unlike the Arizona ranch country where you grew up. You remember the cable that brought you here. Congratulations! You have been selected to compete in a series of African road rallies designed to test both the skill of the drivers and the ruggedness of the cars. You weren't sure you could handle a race like this, but your dad poo-pooed that attitude. Of course you can do it, your dad said. I taught you everything I know. And he knows a lot. He and his brother were competition drivers, racing for the Italian Ferrari and Lancia teams during the heyday of the Le Mans, the Mille and the Nürburgring races. As soon as you could see over the steering wheel of a Jeep, your father began teaching you about cars and driving. The hours you spent in Jeeps out on the range and in fast cars on the track your dad laid out behind the barn have paid off. You wish your dad were here with you, but he couldn't come. Some last-minute business forced him to cancel his plane reservation. Thought that was going to get a bit dark there for a minute. At the competition headquarters, a large banner proclaiming the first African dual road race rally flaps slowly in a light breeze. People standing in clumps around a long table are talking excitedly. They are the drivers and navigators, the mechanics and the representatives of the companies sponsoring the race. You sign in at the competition desk. Welcome. Here's your copy of the rules and regulations. I'm Michael Repleur, race chairman. He smiles at you, shakes your hand, and gives you a large bright blue folder that says Race Kit on the cover. You feel nervous. The other drivers look much older than you, and seem very sure of themselves. This rally is special, Repleur continues. There are actually two races. One tests speeds over fast roads in race-prepared cars, and in the other race, through the rough road race, speed counts 2, but you will be driving off-road vehicles. In each race, you will choose your own course, driving from designated checkpoint to checkpoint until you finish. You will not be racing head-to-head with other cars in either race. Instead, you will select cars and be started at half-hour intervals to avoid head-to-head racing. The courses are too narrow, and sometimes too crowded with animals and people for that. Do you understand? Yes, thanks, I understand, you tell him. You will be paired with a navigator/co-driver, chosen by lot, but that will come in a moment. Now you must choose which race you would like to start with. While you take part in both of them, you may decide which race you would like to drive first. So now we get to choose whether we want to drive the speed race or the rough road race. We are going to pick the rough road race, which is on page 70. Okay. While you're waiting in line at the race committee table to go through the paperwork for the rough road race, you notice the sign over the officials' heads. Be careful. Watch out for animals, bad roads, snakes, and fatigue. This race will test your skill, stamina, and nerves. Although it isn't anywhere as near as fast as the speed race, it is still full of hazards. Michael Repleur noted... Gonna say that name wrong every time. Michael Repleur motions you over to the table. It's time to choose now. What will it be? Wait, this is wrong. This isn't what I was expecting. Okay, we're going to drive the speed race. So we're going to turn to page 6. The speed race is a difficult event. It is not like the Indianapolis 5,000? Well, that'd be big. Indianapolis 500. There isn't a track that you roar around lap after lap. You will start in Nairobi and travel through Kenya. In Kenya they have lions. You'll drive along fairly good roads, through game preserves, along flat surfaces in the highlands, and through hilly stretches. Finally you'll end up back in Nairobi. You will be out on the roads at least one night during the race, possibly 2 nights depending on what happens. You eye some of your competitors. The German team is dressed in dark blue overalls, with their names in gold lettering over the breast pocket. They look very serious. The team from Zaire is dressed in tan jumpsuits. Though they are smiling, they look every bit as serious as the Germans. Now you are confronted with a choice of 2 cars for this half of the rally. You can choose between a race-prepared Subaru WRX or a race-prepared Audi TT. It's up to you. I'm going to choose the Subaru WRX. Spoiler alert. Turn to page 18. You've chosen the Subaru WRX, a very roadworthy car. As a free agent, you've also chosen a stick with the name of your Navigator co-driver on it. You picked a yellow stick with the name Zokil on it. He must be Russian, you think. You are partly right. Zokil is Russian, but it turns out to be a she. Turn to page 9. Zokil smiles at you, shakes hands and says, I am pleased to meet up with you. I saw your name in the race reports. We will do well together, I am sure of that. I'm not going to do any Russian accents. You and Zokil examine the Subaru carefully. You give particular attention to the tyre treads, which have a special pattern to accommodate the sometimes sandy and muddy roads, and the rocky tracks you might have to drive. They look good to me. How about you? I think they're fine, Zokil. They're like the ones we use back home in Arizona. She suggests you study the map of the course to plan how you will run the race. You know, I've been thinking, that Audi could be a little faster. We might have to go all out to catch up. You nod. Perhaps if we go all out, we could run into mechanical trouble. There's the wear and tear of high speed on the car, and those roads are really tough in spots. Let's decide, she says. Shall we start out conservatively and count on finishing, or shall we go flat out? Well, we'll go back to the mantra of to finish first. First you have to finish. We shall go conservative, which is page 13. Okay, Zokil, it's better to finish the race than risk not finishing it. We'll race conservatively. Don't worry, my friend, we will do our best to win. You will see. The race starter drops the flag. The chronometers begin running as you speed off in a flurry of brown-grey dust. Watch out for gazelles, Zokil. They're all over the place. I'd hate to hit one. I don't know who'd be worse off. Zokil nods. You settle behind the wheel and resign yourself to the long, gruelling hours ahead. Zokil busies herself with the maps, compass, and stopwatches, the equipment of rally navigators. At specially designated points along the route, there will be race officials checking on your progress. You must stop at these checkpoints, for in addition to checking in with the officials, the stops provide a chance to refuel, make repairs, and rest. The heat of the late afternoon is affecting both of you. It's been 6 hours of rough driving with no let-up. The car is performing well, and it's about time for Zokil to take her turn behind the wheel. Around a rocky outcropping, you suddenly come to a very wide riverbed. A trickle of water runs a zigzag course down the middle, where the once large river flowed. Clouds have been gathering all afternoon, the sky is now a dark grey blue, and thunder rumbles above you. Sir Kill reports that it's raining slightly to the north. The riverbed is wide and will not be easy to cross. You will have to be careful and take your time. Just then, large raindrops begin to spatter the roof and hood of the car. You recall a warning of your father's. "Flash flood danger," you say. "We could get caught out in the middle of that riverbed. Maybe we should wait." "For what?" Zakil asks. She has never seen flash floods. They can fill a stream bed in minutes, with a wall of water 10 feet high, sweeping away everything in their paths. So we can decide to wait until the storm is over and the danger is past, or we can risk the river crossing. Think it's probably sensible to wait. You tell Zakil that a flash flood could ruin the race for you. It would be crazy to risk crossing the river now. "Okay, I will listen to you. You are right. It is best to wait." Zakil opens the car door, steps out onto the dry sandy road and stretches. As quickly as the storm clouds gathered, they break and become harmless. The threat of a flash flood is over. Although this is lucky for you, it is actually too bad it didn't rain. It is the dry season and the moisture would have been useful to the people and animals who live in this part of Africa. Just as you and Zakil are getting back to the car, the single sideband radio, standard equipment in this race, crackles several times and begins to broadcast. "Turn it up, Zakil, I can't hear it." The voice over the speaker is loud, commanding, and very British. "Warning. Repeat warning to race participants near Sector A32. Repeat, Sector A32. Reliable sources report that a sizable band of well-armed guerrilla troops is operating in that area. The race committee recommends a non-penalising 12-hour delay. Repeat, we strongly urge a 12-hour non-penalising delay for all drivers near Sector A32. Please radio in your choice." Zakil stares at you, her eyes clear and her face calm and determined. "Gorillas? Ha! What would they want with us?" That's as in G-U-E-R, gorillas, not gorillas. You hear her question, but you don't answer immediately. You need time to think. What happens if you wait it out in this remote area? You're on the edge of Sector 32. The gorillas could be right around here or further on. Any way you look at it, there's danger. But when you began the race, you knew that there would be trouble along the way. "Zakil, look, if we stop, we can stand watch and take off quickly if the gorillas approach. If we leave, the gorillas will see the dust we kick up for miles." "Then what should we do?" Zakil asks. So we now get to decide to stop here and take the 12-hour delay, or risk a gorilla encounter. Again, let's play it safe. Let's wait it out. "I really believe stopping is the smart thing to do," you tell Zakil. "This is a good spot." Zakil nods in agreement and begins to unpack the food and sleeping bags. The small alpine stove hisses into action, and in a short time you and Zakil are sitting under an umbrella tree with mugs of hot tea. You keep an ear open on the shortwave to monitor the guerrilla activity. During the night, you and Zakil trade off on 2-hour shifts. You are now on your second shift. The night is clear, the clouds are gone, and the constellations are very bright. The hands of your chronograph glow the time, 1:48. Suddenly the shortwave crackles on. "Guerrilla troops, reported active and hostile, repeated, definitely hostile. Committee now recommends abandoning race, suggests all racers return to start. Repeat, committee recommends abandoning race, good luck." What will you do now? You don't want to drive at night, the headlights are a dead giveaway. Zakil examines the map with a small flashlight. "You know, my friend, we are more than halfway to the finish. It might be just as safe to continue on and finish as try to go back." "I think we should continue." Zakil has a good point. Besides, you might just win. So, rather than go back to the beginning, that sounds boring, let's determine to finish the race. "Let's hit the road, Zakil, we're going on. The gorillas can't possibly catch us." Zakil grins and throws your bags into the Subaru. The click of the seatbelts is reassuring. The motor roars to life and you're off. Go for it. Finish the race. Just keep an eye out for the roadblocks. It's a little crazy, but you know you are right. You are. you and Zakil cross the finish line 8 hours later, you win. The end. Well, that was quite quick and successful. I have read through a few options of this before. I was quite surprised. I couldn't remember from when I read them when I was younger how long they were. They always felt like they were ages, but maybe that's because you could reread them and choose different paths. Excuse me. Yeah, I've read it before, options before, and it's been quite interesting how quickly things usually go south for me. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this little video we've had. Well worth picking some of these up. They're still good fun. Obviously your kids will love them if you've got kids, but they're nice little light things for journeys and things, and they're dirt cheap. Usually pick them up for a couple of bucks. If you're new to the channel, please check out some of the other videos we have. I'm playing through Steel Battalion in a long series that will go on for much longer, and AD from the British IBM likes to do a lot of videos playing some old games and reviewing pickups that he gets from AliExpress and the like. And we also have live news most months, which is broadcast live, and the archive is up for all your retro gaming news. If you didn't know, we are a podcast. You can check that out on all the major marketplaces. That's Retrogaming Roundup. There's the website retrogamingroundup.com, which has a blog and some of the news and links to the episodes and show notes and some other good bits and pieces hidden away, things to buy and things like that. So yeah, thank you very much. See you later.